bright and early on a Sunday morning. That's when we're recording this for you, our lovely, loyal listener. Maybe two, three, I don't know.
16,666.
There it is, our loyal group of second balcony enthusiasts. We're back for another episode. Sunday morning is when we're recording this, just hours after quite the home opener for the Chicago Blackhawks, a 3-2 heartbreaking loss to the Montreal Canadiens, and that's followed up by a 4-3 overtime loss to the Boston Bruins Thursday. But man, it was a really fun day at the United Center yesterday. Unfortunately, the Hawks just can't get it done, but 3 games in, 1 point. Usually you're a little disappointed. You're a little worried about things. But I tell you what, I'm encouraged as all hell. I mean, these 3 games have been more fun and more competitive than what we've seen for the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah. And games like yesterday, these are the games that come March are going to be 2 points.
Yeah, for sure. Probably earlier than that.
Yeah.
This team is so close to figuring it out. And once they do on how to turn these 1-goal losses into 1-goal wins, they're going to turn a corner and not look back.
Yeah. They're really close.
Yeah.
And I did think it was funny that Artem Levshunov got scratched from last night's game in large part because of taking penalties. The Hawks did about 10 power plays.
We said that last night.
Artie's not the problem.
Yeah, we said that last night on the CHGO postgame show. Jay and I said if taking bad penalties got Artem Levshunov scratched, then
who's
nobody's playing on Monday. If that's the standard, then we should never see Sam Lafferty again. Like
I don't think the standard's that high for not seeing Sam Lafferty.
Right. I'm just saying, you've got your excuse now, Blash. It's there. Yeah. We'll get into all that stuff, but man, 14 penalties for 39 minutes. A big chunk of that was on Louis Crevier's getting the instigator in the 17 minutes, but you do not get upset at that at all. That was the type of play that endears you to your teammates and endears you to this fan base. That happened in the second period when big hit on Frank Nazar at center. It's a clean hit. I'm the first guy that says I hate fighting after clean hits, but the temperature had been turning up. Like there had definitely been.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a fight on the way.
Yeah, and that was the perfect opportunity. The funniest part about that sequence, Nazar takes the hit. Was it Goulet that got him?
Goulet got him.
Yeah. Funniest part to me was
the fans chanting USA.
Oh well, that
Canadians are fighting.
Yeah, here's a big French Canadian guy, Louis Crevier, and you're gonna chant USA, but you know there was only a certain faction of the fan base that were doing that. I
remember one year I went to a Hawks Habs game. This is in the glory years, and there was a USA chant going up, and in that game, Montreal dressed more Americans than the Hawks did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people wearing red hats and not Blackhawk hats were chanting USA last night. No, the funniest part about that sequence is it was Teuvo Teravainen that jumped him first.
Yeah.
And then he looked over his shoulder and saw all 6'7" of Louis Crevier coming in at full speed and said, "All yours, big boy." So the Canadians get 10 power plays last night, 10, and yet only score 3 goals on 28 shots. I don't think the Canadians are that good. Not gonna lie to you. That tells me that you get 10 power plays, you should have a lot more than 28 shots on goal.
Yeah, and the season's young, and even though Levshunov was in the press box last night, he still has more points so far this year than Ivan Demidov. Of course, I'm not expecting that to hold, but it happens to be the case at the moment.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was when we got the indications that Levshunov was going to be scratched. That was a weird situation too, because he was in morning skate, took his regular line rushes, was on the second power play unit, and then all of a sudden we're waiting to get in the room, and they've got the TV in the hallway at the United Center, and we look up, and they still got the camera on the ice. It's the scoreboard feed, and there's Levshunov on his own skating, and we're like, well, that's what the healthy scratches do. What's going on here? So I wonder if something happened in practice that just like that was the final straw. Where Blashill was like, all right, this kid's got to sit.
I was ask you, did you see anything? Like, did one of the coaches air him out or anything?
There was a drill where they were doing like a high-low drill, and Levshunov was down by the goal line, and Anders Sorensen kind of looked like he was getting frustrated about something. I don't know if it was he did something wrong, but he kind of started yelling and made him do it over again. So I don't know if that was planned. If Blashill kind of, he also said he kind of used yesterday's morning skate as a practice too, since they didn't practice on Friday, and they're not practicing today on Sunday. So it was a different, than most morning skates. Most morning skates, the guys get out there, they get loose, they do their line rushes, and then they putz around and leave, and you're done in 25 minutes. But yesterday they were doing some actual drills, so that could have been part of it too. Whereas like it's going to be a regular practice, but it was weird. But yes, Ivan Demidov. That's what I was like. I don't want to do the post game show tonight if Levshunov is scratched and Demidov gets 4 points, because it's just no one's gonna that section of fans that can't get over that. Will just have a field day. But Demidov, I only noticed him twice on the ice the entire night. When Wyatt Kaiser was wearing his ass out in the crease, just laying in on him, giving him cross check after cross check, and it took the refs about 6 cross checks before the hand finally went up. And then the only other time I noticed him was when he was throwing sucker punches like a punk while Kaiser was already down on the ice engaged with someone else and didn't get a penalty.
I know.
How did he not get a penalty in that
whistled? That didn't get whistled. And by the way, as long as we brought up Wyatt Kaiser, how fucking good has he been so far this year?
He is just.
I was not expecting this. I knew he was going to be okay, but he's a lot better than okay so far.
He's a guy that just keeps getting better, like with every game, and his confidence is growing, and he's always had that swagger to him, and maybe a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he's just what he did last night with Demidov and getting involved, but just not only that, but just really good defensively too, and chipping in. There was a play where he had the puck behind the Hawks net early, and I think it was Josh Anderson was coming at him full speed, had him in his headline. Josh Anderson, big dude, mean guy, tough guy, getting in Connor Bedard's face all night. And Kaiser kind of deked him and made him completely miss and hit the boards and got the puck out of the zone. But he's been very impressive so far.
Yeah, he's been the Hawks' best defenseman. So it's 3 games, but still, he's been the Hawks' best defenseman.
Levshunov scratch. I don't hate it. Blashill kind of said, those 2 penalties in Boston, especially that one late in regulation, where he gets the penalty and then kind of like looks up at the scoreboard, wants to see a replay, even though the play is still going on. There's a lot going on in here between the ears with young Levshunov, and that's got to get better. And it will.
I'm not worried. 19.
Yeah. I'm not worried. But I think it's good. It's a good wake-up call to just be like, hey, do this now, 2 games in, nip it in the bud. Hey, you don't get to play in the home opener. You don't get to
Yeah.
play against your buddy Demidov. You don't get to be part of the red carpet ceremony, which I thought was extra. Like, oh, how come you don't even let him get introduced in front of the fans? But
Yeah.
whatever. If that's punishment, that's a wake-up call. And better do it now than let bad habits form. And we're 15, 16 games into this and nothing's changed.
Yeah, bad habits are a lot harder to break than good ones are.
Yeah, for sure. And Jeff Blashill's all about winning habits. That's something he has said from day one. So I don't have a problem with it. Hopefully it's just for the game. You know, I don't want to see him sit 4, 5, 6 games, play once in the next 5 games. That does him no good. Might as well sell him to Rockford. I don't think that's going to be the case. The team is pretty committed to keeping him in Chicago. The issue is he comes back on Monday. Who's getting pulled? You're not taking Louis Crevier out of the lineup. He had a goal in Boston. He was the big hero sticking up for your young superstar, and Frank Nazar is a superstar. He is now.
Yeah.
You don't take Louis Crevier out.
No, and Crevier's been, Crevier's been really good, not just by the eye test, but if you go to Natural Stat Trick or you go to either of his game cards, he's been good. I mean, it's, again, small sample size, but that's all we got. And from the sample size, he's got the same sample size everybody else has. And by that, he's been good.
What I like about Louis Crevier, besides, his long reach and just being huge and mean, he's not afraid to shoot.
Nice.
Yeah.
The mean is nice. It's one thing to be big, but, big didn't keep Victor Svedberg in the league.
No. Now his brother is going to send you a mean social media message because you mentioned him.
No, I liked Victor Svedberg, and it was really funny. I got to talk to somebody. I was at a Ice Hogs game one time. I got to talk to somebody who I guess was Svedberg's billet, and they talked about how they had to adjust the shower and everything for his height, and he was a good big boy, but just he didn't use his size the way he should have, and that that might not have been his fault. That could have been coaching's fault too. At the time, the Blackhawks could not, you could have given him Bobby Orr and they wouldn't have made him into an NHL defenseman.
Yeah. I mean, Crevier, that's usually when you see guys that big, they can't skate for crap. But that's not the case with Crevier.
Changing.
Yeah.
That's changing. We're seeing more and more large guys who are becoming really proficient skaters. I mean, these guys there's so many places these guys can go in the off season to work on their skating, to work with, the Blackhawks have the luxury of having Kendall Coyne, but still there's great skating coaches everywhere. And all these guys are going to skating coaches. Connor Bedard did it. Yeah. And Connor Bedard is certainly not a big guy.
No.
But
he's acting like one these days.
Yeah. But that's where the league is. The league is you've got to skate. You can't just go out there and be Matt Rempe.
Right. Well, and that's the Blackhawks philosophy. That's been Kyle Davidson's philosophy since day one.
Yeah.
We heard Mike Downey. He said it. If you can't skate, you're not a Blackhawk.
Well, and that even goes back to Joe Quenneville. You had to skate if you wanted to play for Quenneville.
Yeah. So
John, I love you, John Scott, the Murdersaurus, but he was the exception to the rule.
Yeah, I guess when you have 22 world-class skaters on your team, you can allow one plug to sneak in there. But
I saw a clip of Rempe. It was Rangers Islanders, and I'm sorry, I'm having an old man moment here, folks. The guy that the Islanders picked, was Schaefer. Schaefer has the puck behind the net, and Rempe wants to run him. And somebody on the Islanders gets in Rempe's way. But Rempe was skating. He looked like Phoebe from Friends running. He was waving his arms and everything. I was like, oh my God, this guy's becoming a self-parody of Matt Rempe.
I don't get the whole Rempe thing. And then what is it about that guy that makes future Hall of Fame Stanley Cup winning coaches just look stupid? Because even Mike Sullivan had him on the second power play unit the other night. What are we doing?
I know. Well,
whatever.
I'm wearing a Rangers hat. I wore this just for tonight because we keep bringing up the '94 Rangers.
It's a sweet hat, even though it says Rangers on it. But
yeah, it's my '94 Rangers. I was living in New York at the time. Oh shit! Still got the hologram sticker on it. I didn't even realize that. I never wore this hat.
There were some '94 Rangers in the house last night.
Oh yeah,
part of the Blackhawks alumni, as you.
It was nice to see Eddie Olczyk. It was nice to see Eddie Olczyk. It's great that they made Pat Foley an ambassador.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, yeah, his time kind of passed. Rick Ball is so great, and he'll never be Pat Foley, but he doesn't need to be. He's great.
He's not trying to be. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
And that was kind of the feeling I got from, again, drawing a blank on his name, the guy between Foley
Chris
and
Foster's.
Chris Foster,
yeah.
Who I felt like he was trying too hard to be Foley, and he should just try to be Chris Foster's. I thought he would have been good Chris Foster's.
I really like.
He had the, he was kind of the stepfather. It's like, you're not my real dad. You're not my real Pat Foley. So he was just in a no-win situation.
Yeah, no matter who they threw in there, it wasn't going to work. I liked Chris personally. I thought he was a really sweet guy, really nice guy. He tried so hard. He didn't.
He did.
He was always at practice. He was hanging out with a lot of the beat writers, asking questions. I mean, he didn't know hockey at all.
Yeah.
When they hired him, that first game of that season was in Denver against Colorado when they raised their cup banner, and I got to travel to cover that game. And it was a TNT game, so he wasn't working, but he was there, and he was sitting in the press box in between myself and our guy Charlie from WGN, he was sitting there and taking notes and asking us questions about specific plays. Like, why did they do that? Why did they do that? So he tried so hard, but to learn and get better. And he did get better, but I just think it was just never going to work. And, I think Panger was like, hey, if we could make an improvement here, we probably should. And that helped a bit. The reports that he and Foster's didn't get along were not true at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, for a team that was going to get more eyeballs on them as they got better, you needed to have a better play-by-play guy. And Rick Ball is fantastic. And another great guy too. But yes, I'm happy Pat Foley is an ambassador now, because it shows me that there's no hard feelings between him and the franchise. He didn't get to leave on his terms. They were basically just like, hey, we're not renewing your contract. He didn't get fired, but they just like, hey, we're not bringing you back.
Yeah,
which was the wrong move.
Him. They kind of ghosted him, and they ghosted Olczyk.
Yeah, well, the Olczyk thing, there's more to that story that I've been told off record that I'm not sharing publicly.
Okay. Well, that is that.
But there's more to that.
If you pay for Second Balcony Premium, you'll get that story.
Second Balcony Premium is Venmo me $200, and I'll tell you. There's just more to that story. It's not. We've only heard one side of those negotiations, and that was Edzo's side. So there's another side, which means the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Right.
But I'm glad Foley is back in the mix, because, as I said, he didn't, even though, he had lost quite a few miles on his fastball, and not having Edzo there probably hurt a lot too. They were really good together, but seeing them both there yesterday was good. And having Foley back in the mix, I'm sure he's going to be the guy that does the Blackhawks Hall of Fame night later in the season. He did a great job.
He'll be their MC for everything.
Yeah, he'll be at the games a lot. I mean, we'll see him hanging out in the press box all the time now, which is awesome.
Yeah, and they'll do the thing. They'll take him from suite to suite, and somebody's going to have to be on Pat Foley duty, just like they used to have to be on Bobby Hull duty, because everybody's going to want to give him a drink.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Pat, you only get 3.
But I had 4 when I showed up.
And I'll tell you something else. After the Blackhawks let Foley go, he did 1 Cub game. And he was really good, and he was really fun. I was like, Marquee could do a lot worse than bring Foley in once in a while for a Cub game. Especially, they have those games once in a while where on Sundays where Pat Hughes slides from the radio booth to the TV booth. And yeah, let Foley do a game once in a while. I mean, if Foley would want to do that,
right?
But,
yeah, you can have Foley and Ryan Dempster, and they can both sit there and do Harry Carey for 3 hours.
The Savannah Bananas are playing 3 games in Wrigley Field. It's like, oh my God, Ryan Dempster is going to be at every one of those games, and he's going to be
pitching probably.
He's going to have like a squirting carnation or something.
Yeah.
Have you been to one of those?
The Bananas game? No. I want to. They look like a ton of fun. I mean, those of us of our age, that's just basically, that's the Harlem Globetrotters, but baseball.
And it's a little different because the outcome's not predetermined.
Wait a minute. The Harlem Globetrotters were predetermined?
Next, you'll tell me wrestling's fake.
Thank God we still have the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, and it's like the closest hockey actually has something fairly close now when they do the Shoresy games, where the Shoresy guys come to town and you get they played at Rosemont and
right.
A bunch of old Hawks came out and they even gave you a little tilt in the middle of the ice. It was a good time.
That was a fun. We actually got to talk to Jordan Nolan leading into that. Good guy. Yeah, I saw Kiso's got a new show coming out too.
But
it's not hockey related.
Trevor Risk is writing for it, and he's a good guy.
Yeah. I would love to check out the Savannah Bananas at Wrigley Field. I just don't want to put a second mortgage on my house for those tickets.
Yeah.
I mean, the White Sox have to be super pissed because that was their only 2 sellouts of the season last year.
I know. Well, I saw them in Miami, and that was the only time I've ever seen that place filled. Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun time. Definitely will try to check that out. But Pat Foley, awesome job last night on the pregame stuff. Gave a little shout out to Troy Murray. I wanted to give a little mention to Troy, who's hasn't been around the team for the last couple of days, last week or so. They had Steve Conroy in the radio booth with John Weideman last night, who's does an excellent job. But yeah, I just wanted to Troy's going through some treatment again for his battle, and it's not it's kicking his butt a little bit. So, but he'll bounce back. We all hope. Yeah. And Troy is one of my favorite people ever. I mean, I was a huge fan of his when he was a player. I was a huge fan of his on the radio, and then when I got fortunate enough to be around him daily on the beat, just such a great guy. Great sense of humor, loves talking hockey. I always know when Troy shows up, because you'll be standing there doing whatever you're doing, all of a sudden you'll get an elbow in the rib cage, and he knows exactly where to get you, where you're like, oh God.
He's a pro.
Yeah. So, thinking of Troy, and I can't wait to see him back at practice here, hopefully much sooner rather than later. And he got a big shout out from Pat Foley and the crowd. And it was one of those goosebumpy moments at the United Center for sure. We definitely, all of us that are fortunate enough to be there on a nightly basis, miss the hell out of Troy and can't wait to see him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's one of those guys that you can't help but love. I mean, even before he did radio, when he played, he just left it all on the ice. He left all on the ice every single night.
I mean, there's moments where like I sit there and just having a regular conversation with him, and in the back of my head, I'm going, "Oh my God, that's Troy F. and Murray!" Like Troy Murray just asked me how my Thanksgiving was. What life am I living right now? This is
Right?
crazy. So yeah, definitely thinking of Troy. Get well soon, buddy. We can't wait to see
Yeah.
you again.
We're
And
all in your corner, Troy.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, probably Lev Shanov gets back in, and I would guess at this point, Grizzly probably takes the night off.
Yeah.
He's been fine,
Yeah, he hasn't been great, but he's been
but he's
okay.
not here to play 82 games.
No, and he's not here to pull more than 8 minutes a night.
Yeah.
So, get Lev Shanov back with Kaiser, because at the end of the day, that's where the bread's going to be buttered.
Yeah. I mean,
you're going to have those two. You got Rinzel and Vlasic are going to be one pair, and Lev Shanov and Kaiser are going to be another pair. And what is going to make Jeff Blashill's life really great is the fact that you can basically look at them as a 1 and 1A. So whoever's having a better game gets the minutes. It doesn't have to always. You don't have a Keith and Seabrook thing where you just have a definitive first pair and they're the first pair night after night. You can go to your matchups and see how everybody's doing. And, one of the reasons Grzelcyk got the contract in the first place was because Del Mastro I felt like he was pressing all through camp. He wasn't, I don't know what he was trying to be, but he wasn't trying to be Ethan Del Mastro. And by no coincidence, he's in Rockford now being Ethan Del Mastro, and he had 2 points last night.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff Blashill's going to have, you say he's going to have a 1A, 1B this season. Down the road, he could have a 1A, 1B, 1C.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if Kevin Korchinski, who had a nice assist last night too in Rockford.
Oh, that was a really nice pass.
Brett
Seney's one of those guys you can't help but love him. God, I wish he could get just a few games in the show, just because I feel like he's put in the time.
He had a couple. What was that? The tanking for Bedard season. He got a few games when everybody got hurt, and they were picking up guys like Zach Sanford and Rem Pitlick. Hey, who's playing at the Horizon tonight? Let's steal a couple of those guys. That was such a crazy time.
But Seney's actually, he's your captain down in Rockford, and he's like the veteran guy, because over the next couple of years, he's going to have to kind of wet nurse some of these guys.
Yeah.
And he seems to be doing a good job of it, because a lot of these guys are coming up from Rockford and they're being NHL ready. Guys like Wyatt Kaiser, guys like Louis Crevier.
Yeah, if Seney was, 2 inches taller and a half a step quicker, he'd be an NHLer,
Oh yeah,
permanently. But
he's got coach written all over him.
Yeah. And the Ice Hogs have done a good job with those types of captains over the years. You've got Seney, but he's taken over for Garrett Mitchell, who did a really good job when he was there too. You look at the past where you had guys like Jake Dowell and even a guy like Martin St. Pierre in the 2010s was that guy too. So they've done a good job of having that captain / fourth coach on the team.
And it's so funny because Jake Dowell, the guy who I keep using that name when I talk about Landon Slaggert. Landon Slaggert just reminds me so much of Jake Dowell. Same type of player.
Yeah, except 80 times faster.
Yeah.
So in case you missed it, the Ice Hogs won 3-2 in overtime last night to kick off their season, getting their revenge on the Milwaukee Admirals, who
a very nice overtime goal by Samuel Savoie, who I thought was going to get a little bit more runway in training camp than he got.
Well, he got hurt early, and that didn't hurt. That didn't help him.
That didn't help. But still, I think this is the year he finally gets his rookie lap.
For sure. I think so. They'll be
especially if the Hawks keep playing scrappy hockey. He's made for it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if he keeps playing like this in Rockford and you keep getting just nothing from Sam Lafferty, you swap those two guys out. You know, but yeah, the Ice Hogs 3-2. At least somebody beat a team from Milwaukee last night, so that was good.
Yeah, my poor wife. The game was over. She turns and goes, "Now we're gonna be watching hockey, right?"
It's still baseball. It's just not the Cubs. I don't care anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
do I root for the Dodgers in the NLCS, or do I just not watch? I'm just not
I
going to
cheer.
watch.
I cheer for the Meteor.
Yeah. It looks like it's all about the Toronto Blue Jays or Mariners. Whoever's in the
I was gonna
American
say,
League is my
go
team.
M's.
Yeah, I'll bust out my Ken Griffey Jr. T-shirt and
Look, I want any possible way to get the words "Big Dumper" on a plaque in the Hall of Fame.
yeah, Mariners would be fun, but I like the Blue Jays too. They're a fun team.
Oh, they are. I love Vlad Jr. He's
yeah,
a part.
I mean, yeah, and his dad is one of my all-time favorite baseball players of all time. One of the greatest hitters I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just a ridiculous baseball player. So yeah, go American League is what I'm going to say, because no matter if it's the Brewers or the Dodgers, I'm not cheering for either one of those teams.
No.
But the Dodgers will likely truck the Brewers. Especially since all I heard last night was, well, the Brewers were 6-0 against the Dodgers in the regular season. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Those games also happened in May.
Yeah, that was the same thing in 2015 with the Cubs and Mets.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because you know why? It's the playoffs. You throw out the record books. That's what they tell me.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you pay for your seat and don't use it.
Pay for the whole seat. Only use the very front of it. Yeah. Cold Steel on Ice, baby. I remember those radio commercials. Those were awesome.
One of my favorite things about Blackhawks marketing slogans back then, I actually heard the great. I'm not a John McDonough fan. I don't
There's
think
very
that's
few
secret
out there.
Yeah. I don't even know how many there are at a McDonough family reunion.
Well, nobody who's ever worked for him would consider being a fan of his. That's for sure.
Yeah. But when he first took over the Blackhawks, he walked up to the marketing. I'm guessing it was just like a marketing person. They probably didn't have a marketing team yet. And said, "Explain Red Rising to me." And they really couldn't. They just found, the Blackhawks wore red. They found something alliterative and went with it. And then years later, when I was writing for Hockey Night, we would do a thing every year called A View from the Top, where that was like our version of Drew Magary's great Why Your Team Stinks that he does for the NFL. We would do a preview of every single team. And it came time for the Florida Panthers. I was like, okay. Every time the Blackhawks played in Florida, I would always write the recap as an episode of Burn Notice. But I needed to do something non-Burn Notice for the team preview. Like, what am I going to do? And I went to the Florida Panthers website just to kind of see what they had going on. Fucking Red Rising.
There it is.
That they had, I don't even remember who was on the team. That might have been when Versteeg was there, for all I know. It was definitely in the Dale Talon years.
Well, now we know who was responsible for that slogan. It was Dale Talon.
Yeah, so sure enough, I wound up putting up like Red Rising with they might have had Ekblad at that point. So like Red Rising and a picture of Aaron Ekblad next to Red Rising and a picture of James Wisniewski.
Nice. Yeah. There's been some, but I still remember the Cold Steel on Ice. Those were great. And then, of course, the one goal was the winner for many, many, many years. And of course, I still remember the great, even though I'm not a fan of his personally, the old school Jeremy Piven commercial, the Detroit Sucks commercial, is still a classic.
That's pretty iconic.
Yeah, and now you don't even have to make TV commercials. You just make TikToks with your players, and
right,
you've got the kids wrapped up.
And one of the things that the Blackhawks did back in those days, like I remember when Bill Wirtz died and Rocky came in, and one of the first things they did was said, okay, we're going to put home games on TV, which brought the Blackhawks into the 20th century, a decade into the 21st century, but still. And they put together a bunch of ads with like the Blackhawks. Hey, we can watch ourselves on TV. It's like, but you're going to be playing. And one of those ads was that was the one with Brent Seabrook, where Seabrook's like, hey, we can watch the Hawks on TV. So no, you can't. Why not? Because you're going to be playing. Oh, like, wow, they made Brett seem real dumb in that one. And then they had the 1 goal ads for a while, and those were a lot of fun. And then, unfortunately, I think once they started winning, I felt like they got a little bit too full of themselves. And I remember talking to some of the social media people, and I was like, hey, are you guys, this was in like 2013, 14. I got to talk to some of the Blackhawks social media people, and I said, are you guys watching what the LA Kings are doing? It's like, well, we don't want to be silly like that. We're a championship team. I said, so are they. Like, this is hockey. This is hockey. This is an international diplomacy. Go out there and have fun. People, and you watch the Every Shift videos they put out, and those are really good. Those are very good. I'll give credit where it's due. I enjoy watching those, and of course the series on Amazon, which is just outstanding. And it's a shame that it's on Amazon when Amazon has nothing else to do with the NHL. It'd be great.
Well, not here. Don't they have a weekly game in Canada?
They might.
They did. I think they're smart though. Amazon, like, they sponsor the Canadian hockey. The hockey that people watch. They don't do it here in the States.
Well, if Canadian hockey were the hockey that people watch, there'd be more franchises in Canada.
Yeah, well, they watch them on TV. They don't.
Right, but the TV revenue is here.
Yeah. Well, speaking of old ad campaigns and cold steel on ice, the Blackhawks knocked it out of the park yesterday with the red carpet ceremony and the bringing in all the alumni for the 100th year. They had a big dinner on Friday night. It was a lot of fun to see some of the guys that showed up. They basically said an open invitation to, like, if you played more than one shift for the Blackhawks, come on out. We'll give you a jacket. We'll throw you on stage. You could wave to the crowd. Yeah. But they did an awesome job. The jackets were so cool that they gave them.
Oh yeah.
And
I love the
little details. Yeah. The little details about those jackets are so cool because, they all look the same, kind of like the old school varsity type jacket, but each player got it personalized. They had their number and said alumni on one sleeve, and on the other sleeve, they put different patches of the eras they played in.
Yeah.
If they played at the Chicago Stadium, they got a Chicago Stadium patch. If they played at the United Center, they got a United Center patch. If they played 500 games, they got a 500 game patch, 1,000 Stanley Cups. So some guys had patches all the way down one sleeve, and a couple other guys only had like 1 or 2, but did a great job. There's so many guys there. I was like, oh my God, I forgot this guy existed. And guys like Kyle Calder and Steve Pops was there. And
come on. How can you forget Kyle Calder, man? I got nothing but love for the ABC line.
Yeah. Kyle Calder, man, he's a guy that has enjoyed retirement. I'll give him that. If you showed me a picture of Kyle Calder and said, what did that guy used to do for a living? Be a professional athlete would not be something that would pop into my head at all. But good for him. I was a big Kyle Calder fan.
I was going to say, was Mark Bell there having shrimp cocktail?
No, he was not. I was waiting for that. Kyle Calder was, I was hoping they'd bring Tyler Anderson and Brian Sutter there and they could reenact their night at Tootsie's on stage.
See, this is the Blackhawks. Somebody needs to write a book like Walter Zinn did the People's History of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to do the fans' history of the Chicago Blackhawks and
all the legendary stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheryl Scott will probably get a chapter. There's some good ones out there. But it was fun. It was fun and depressing at the same time because when I've seen the guys from the 90s and the early 2000s, those were the guys that, you know, as I really fell in love with this team, with this sport, you know, those were the guys that represent my fandom. And then to see them and they're like, oh man, look at all their gray hair. And then I'm like, look at all my gray hair. Oh man, we're all old. This sucks.
Well, you know, when Chelly retired, that was the last day that I had an NHL player who was older than me.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about how, you know, some of the players are so young and she's only 27. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you still have guys in the room older than you. That I'm older than the general manager. That's how old I am. Like, yeah, it's time flies, but it was so cool to see a lot of those guys there. I mean, they even went in the Wayback Machine and had Grant Mulvey out there and Cliff Coral and Gene Ubriaco, who's one of
I used to see Cliff. I used to see Cliff and Grant at the United Center a lot.
They used to come a lot.
Cliff is because they have the alumni suite there,
right?
And
they're
also,
the president. They're the president. I mean, the Coral started the Alumni Association.
He started the Alumni Association, yeah. And the other thing was back when Ferrara Pan used to have their alumni table, which I thought was great, and I wish somebody sponsored it just to bring it back, because I used to just go and get signed photos that would then be gone to drinking prizes. The only exception being every year on Boxing Day, Stan Mikita would sign. So we got to the United Center before doors one year, just so I could have Stosh sign my sweater. And that's up on a frame. Patrick Sharp is up here because we went to for a while they were doing these live shots at Old Town Tavern with WGN Radio. And one night it was funny. It was Patrick Sharp and Brandon Bollig were there. And I'm waiting outside.
Two guys that get mistaken for each other all the time.
Yeah. But what was really funny was, so I'm sitting there outside the bar waiting for my wife to show up, and my phone rings and it's her. So I said, hey, baby. And just as I say that, Brandon Bollig is walking by and he turns around and looks at me, and I just said, other baby. Good old Brandon Bollig.
Yeah, the heart of a lion. It's funny you mentioned the Ferrara Pan photos, because I have you can't see it here, but let me see if I can get the camera going the right way. Up there, that Stan Mikita photo up at the top, that's autographed. That is actually one of those Ferrara Pan Lemonhead pictures. I just threw in a frame. I've got a bunch of them somewhere. I know I've got a Steve Larmer somewhere, and a Brian Noonan. He was there yesterday. 94 Ranger, shout out.
Couldn't get the puck past Van Dam.
Who could, though? I mean, that guy's got the best kick saves in the history of the game.
Oh yeah. Everybody who hasn't seen Sudden Death needs to.
Yeah. I mean, I would think most of our audience has, because, you know, we attract a certain genre.
It's definitely in our demographic.
Yeah.
I've got it on DVD.
I don't think there's a lot of kids listening to this going, Sudden Death. Jean-Claude Van Damme, who's that?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We should probably get back to the outline that you got up early to work on.
Yeah.
Ryan Donato. We talked about Ryan Donato, and you know, last year Ryan Donato scored 30 goals, in large part because he was effective skating with Connor Bedard. So naturally, he's skating with everybody on the Blackhawks except Connor Bedard right now.
Yeah, I mean, he spent the whole training camp with him.
Yeah.
And then the first two periods of the first game, he was there. And now, you know, Blashill talked about him yesterday, saying that, you know, you've got to check to create offense, and has him on the third line. You know, with the injuries to Dickinson and Slaggert, you know, that third line has not, you know, been where they envisioned it. So I don't know. I'm not saying he's been bad, but he's definitely not
He's not in his role.
Is effective. Yeah. I mean, he had 6 shots on goal and 10 shot attempts last night on the when I checked the score sheet after the game, and I don't remember any of those shots.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen him do anything terribly impactful where, when he was up with Bedard, he would get the puck to Bedard and go to the net. And, that's how the goals happen. Everybody, I mean, and it was funny because last night, Bedard's skillsy goal last night.
The Artem Anisimov special. Get to the front of the net and let the puck hit you in the ass.
Exactly. The Andrew Ebbett arm goal.
Stealing goals from his buddy Frank Nazar. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if Nazar skated past the scorer and said, "That puck never touched him."
Yeah, Donato, it's been a little disappointing just because he hasn't been as effective. He hasn't been bad. He's not hurting the team, but he's not exactly helping them either. You didn't give him 4 years, $16 million to be a third line guy. No. I mean, he'll move around. I think Blashill's still trying to figure out how to use him. But the one guy that's been impressive as hell was the other guy that was on that top line to start the season, man. Andre Burakovsky.
Oh, yeah.
I have loved what I've seen out of him these first 3 games. That guy hopefully can stay healthy because that is a really good winger for Connor Bedard.
Yeah. He's been great on that line. And Burakovsky knows he's never going to have a better chance to do anything than he's going to have skating on Bedard's wing.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting top line, top power play. He's taking advantage of it. He had another great game last night against Montreal, smoked the crossbar. I mean, if that puck was just a half an inch lower, he would have given the Hawks the lead there. But he's been very good. Great skater, super smart on the ice, knows how to get the puck through the neutral zone, which is important. Part of the problem of Connor Bedard's first 2 seasons is that he never has the puck when he's on the ice. So having Burakovsky definitely helps. And I don't hate the combination with Colton Dach either right now. It's been working. He does the dirty work and but we definitely need to get Ryan Donato going and getting more like last year's Ryan Donato. Because in preseason, in preseason, he looked great.
Yeah.
He was confident. He was shooting the puck. And during training camp at practice, he was like the one guy that consistently finished his plays. And then it's just now that they count, it's just something is not clicking.
Yeah. And they need to get that back because they need to get him on Bedard's wing. I mean, this is his 1 year for it because this time next year, Connor Bedard's going to have a completely different set of wingers.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is expecting anything other than, it's going to be Kenserov on the right and it's going to be Frondell on the left.
That's going to be sexy. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's hashtag hockey porn right there. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a real problem for the rest of the league because, I mean, Nazar between Teravainen and Bertuzzi is a really solid line.
Yeah, it's an NHL line.
It is. And, getting the right guys for Bedard is going to be huge. I mean, I know last night Blashill put Nazar and Bedard out there together, and that was the sort of thing Joel Quenneville would do once in a while, where every so often when he needed to get something going, he'd put Kane and Taves on the same line. But for the most part, you wanted those guys on separate lines because you wanted teams to kind of pick their poison.
Yeah. No, I like how Blashill's been sneaking them together when he finds time. Like last night, end of the first period, there was a shift, 26 seconds left in the period. He put him out there. Why the heck not?
Yeah. 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 It's only 26 seconds. You're not going to have another change. So just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a good point that like they figured out the perfect line mates for Frank Nazar, and it's got him off to an amazing start, and they're still working on getting those perfect line mates for Connor Bedard. The difference is they plucked Nazar's line mates off of free agency, guys who are NHL vets, where they're developing Bedard's future line mates.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got a feeling that at some point Connor Bedard's sitting on his phone and looking at videos of Ken Serov and Frondell and going, "Oh yeah,
yeah." I have to say though, go ahead.
I was going to say we should probably take a couple minutes and talk about some of the up and comers because that's something we've been doing. Yeah. And we could sit here all day and talk about Frondell and Ken Serov with good reason. I know at some point this week I texted you about Nathan Bang because he's off to a really good start in Kamloops. And I think the plan with him is at least a year at Arizona State. But I think that plan might change with the 19-year-old rule for the AHL.
Possibly. As you mentioned, he's gotten off to a really good start. He's another one of those sneaky good mid-round picks that Kyle Davidson is good at because that's, as we've discussed, that's what Kyle Davidson likes to do. Give me 3 or 4 first-round picks, and then I'm going to find some sneaky good guys in the 3rd and 4th round. And he's got a whole pipeline full of guys like that. I mean, John Mustard's off to a great start in Providence, and Pridham's another guy. Those are all 3rd-round picks.
Yeah. And Mustard's first game this year was against Michigan.
Yeah, and he scored.
He did well. Yeah.
Their only goal.
Yeah. I mean, Providence against Michigan, you're not expecting anything out of Providence in that game.
No. Did you see the tweet? Chris Peters, who is a buddy of mine, does an amazing job for Flow Sports. Chicago guy living in Iowa now. He's actually going to be doing some color work for some of the Iowa Wild TV broadcasts this season too.
Oh, that's good.
He's the director over at Flow Hockey, so they have the deal with the AHL. But Chris Peters put out Providence College. They have a women's basketball player with the last name Berger. And like a women's lacrosse player with the last name Pickles. So they've got Burger, Pickles, and Mustard all on their teams. Like, how is that not a t-shirt really yet? That needs to be, I know, right? I would buy the hell out of that t-shirt.
Yeah. Chris is a good guy. We had him on a couple of podcasts.
Yeah. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to scouting and prospects.
He's just fun to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because some of these guys can be analytic and be a little dry, and then you get guys like me who are mildly entertaining and don't know shit.
Hey.
There's one more thing I do want to bring up before we call it a day here, which is the Buffalo Sabres, who are playing Buffalo Sabres hockey right now, and I keep sending my thoughts and prayers out to my good friend Joe Yurden, who has to cover that. Like last year, the Blackhawks started the beer hockey stick.
Yeah.
And the Buffalo Sabres are now going to have a beer saber.
Yeah.
I'm like, can't. And I texted Joe. I was like, beer saber. Can't imagine how that'll go wrong.
Yeah. You don't want to give a fan base who is just miserable to begin with because the team is constantly rebuilding and bad swords for their mouth.
Yeah. Right. And when people want to complain about the rebuild going on with the Blackhawks, it's like the thing with the Blackhawks is, okay, this rebuild's been going on for years and it requires patience. I understand that. But you're starting to kind of see it coming together, and especially in the first 3 games this year. Okay, 1 point in 3 games, is definitely putting them in. It's putting them in lottery country, and we expect them to be in the lottery. They're not going to sneak into the playoffs or anything this year, but
not with that attitude.
Well, fortunately, nothing I say here is going to have any bearing with what the Blackhawks do on the ice. But God, imagine being in Buffalo. I mean, even playing in Buffalo, it's just got to be soul crushing because it's year after year. But they keep rebuilding, but it's not really a rebuild. It's more like they have a building built and they just keep painting the same wall.
Well, it's hard to do a rebuild when you keep trading away your franchise type players.
I know. And
Jack Eichel. How many former Sabres have won the Stanley Cup recently? Eichel and Reinhard was a Sabre. Imagine having those two guys still there.
I know.
You know, was Sam Bennett a Sabre? No, he was a Flame.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was going to say, then the Flames had their own issues.
Yeah. But yeah, they get these guys, they identify these young players, and then they trade them, and now they're hurt. Though I do have to say, my two bold predictions for the season are really starting to look good right now. For the NHL on Blackhawk Up, for the Blackhawks, I picked Teuvo Teravainen to have a career year point wise. He's off to a really good start there. Mm-hmm. And my NHL prediction for first coach fired was Lindy Ruff, and that's definitely looking like that's going to happen.
And it's funny because they brought Lindy back in because they felt like, okay, we need somebody who can come in here and give these boys a kick in the ass. And Lindy just, you could almost see in his face when he's out there coaching. It's like, oh God, they stuck me with such a bucket of shit. Actually, if I had a hot prediction, my prediction would be Kevin Adams would be the first. Kevin Adams has one foot out the door as it is.
Yeah,
he's almost gone.
Yeah. I mean, you can't keep trading these guys. You trade Dylan Cousins, for Josh Norris, and now Josh Norris is out, and Dylan Cousins is scoring goals in Ottawa.
Yep.
Like they can't. The Buffalo Sabres are Sideshow Bob surrounded by rakes.
Yes. But they went out and got Stahl and a couple other guys to work in the front office, and it's like, okay, they've got their GMs in waiting, but part of the problem too is ownership. Carl Pagula is like a fanboy, and he wants like to be surrounded by old Sabres, which is the same problem they used to have in Edmonton, where they just kept hiring boys on the bus, and then they went to the inspired leadership of Stan Bowman.
They had the Ken Holland era in between, Ken Holland, the former goaltender who refuses to pay a goaltender.
Yeah, well, now he's in LA, so God only knows what he's going to do to the King.
LA.
But, Danny Wirtz seems to be perfectly content to just let Kyle Davidson cook. And I do appreciate that. I appreciate that Davidson seems to be working without any interference.
For sure. I mean, because you also got to remember, Danny Wirtz had very little to do with the Blackhawks before his dad died. He was running all the other businesses, and he still is. Yeah. So this is just kind of like, all right, I'm going to hire smart hockey people and let the smart hockey people do their jobs.
And it's funny because, Danny knows hockey. Danny plays hockey. Danny understands it. He'd be the type of owner I don't know if you can see there's a cat hanging out in the background. I'm not paying any attention to him. But yeah, Danny's the sort of owner who you could see him interfering, and he's not. So, points to Danny Wirtz for that.
Yeah, very.
On this day of our Lord, October 12th, 2025, I said something nice about a member of the Wirtz family.
He did. Gold star. Very little ego for Danny Wirtz. That helps. That helps.
I'm on my fourth Wirtz, by the way. That's how I grade my Hawks fandom. It's like, how many Wirtzes have you been? Like when
I'm only on my third.
When you meet somebody who says they're from Chicago, the first question is, where'd you go to high school? It's like, I've been a Hawks fan for how long? Okay, how many Wirtzes? Yeah. It's like, are you an Arthur? Are you a Bill? Or are you a Rocky?
Yeah. I was too young for the Arthur era, but I definitely heard all about it as my parents were season ticket holders in the early 70s. But yeah, it is good to see that, from day one, Kyle Davidson's been given this job and letting him do what he wants to do with very little interference from above. And you're starting to see that come together. We still are a long way from knowing if this is a championship team, if these guys are going to, if his vision is going to come true, but we're starting to see that, hey, this guy might be onto something.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, even if this doesn't wind up being a championship team, there's a lot of talent coming. And, I sound like a broken record. I feel like I've said this on every single recording we've done, which is you have to turn talent into skill.
Yep. And they're starting to do that. We'll see how this turns out. That's why we sit here and talk about it. And that's why you sit there and listen to it, whether you're in your car or whatever you're doing. And we do definitely appreciate all of you checking this out. All 16,666 of you.
And hit the subscribe button. Damn it, we're stuck.
Yes. Yeah, we haven't had a new subscriber in a few days. We need to hit the subscribe button. Hit like of this episode if you're on YouTube, or give us a 5-star review on your podcast. Follow us on your favorite podcast app as well. We're just doing this out of our love of talking hockey and our need to please the hockey fans. So show us a little love with the subscriptions and tell your friends. Tell your weird, creepy uncles. That's more of our demographic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're definitely creepy uncle. We're the creepy uncle podcast for sure.
Yeah, like there's always been the saying, "Not your father's podcast." Well, this is your father's podcast. This is definitely for the hockey dads out there.
We're the podcast for the uncle you don't invite to Thanksgiving.
Where did my life go? Where did I go wrong with all of this?
You texted me and asked me if I want to do a podcast. That's where you went wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I read a hockey night recap many years ago. Well, wow, these guys seem like fun, and my life has never been the same since.
Yeah, well, that happens to a lot of people. They meet me and go into a downward spiral.
That's fun. It's fun down here. It's more fun down here
I'd rather laugh with the sinners than cry with the saints.
Absolutely. And all the sinners are hanging out on the second balcony.
Yeah, now that I've quoted Billy Joel, we got to wrap this up.
Yes, we've gone too far. Lawyers are going to start calling us now. All right, that is another episode of Second Balcony. We love doing this. Check out Frank. He's hanging out on Blue Sky. You got an Instagram account now, doing all the trolling people on every form of social media that's out there. Check us out over at Blackhawk Up as well for all your Blackhawks coverage. And we're going to hopefully do this again. Maybe next weekend we'll have a day to sneak in another recording.
That or maybe Thursday night.
Maybe Thursday again. Yeah. Ice Hawks play again today on Sunday, 5:00 against Iowa. Yeah. So if you have the Flow Hockey subscription, it's worth every penny. Check them out. And we'll be back as soon as we can. But if you are subscribed on YouTube, they tell you when we gone. So you don't even have to. We'll find you. That's how easy that is. All right, kids. We'll do this again real soon. And we'll see you guys next time.